Okay, then, so what we need to do is, since we successfully configured the Firebase configurations and we created a separate API endpoints, now what we need to do is we need to create a separate route to manage each and every route separately. That will be the best practice. You can work inside the same file itself, but that will make it more complex to follow through it. So let's create a new folder inside your functions and name that folders as routes. And then inside this routes, I'm going to create a new file called user.js. New file user.js. So far that user.js is going to be empty. And right after here, we need to navigate that route to this specific file which we created right now. So what I'm trying to say is here const user route is equals require dot slash routes slash user. So then app.use, if the API endpoints is coming like this slash API slash users, then you should load this user route. Okay, if API endpoints is coming like this instead of this home route, after this, if it is coming like API slash users, then it should load this user dot route. Now let's go to the user.js, and here first we need to create that route. So const router equals require express dot router. So this will create that router, and of course we need to export this router, otherwise it will not work. So module dot exports is equals router. We're going to export this router. So inside here, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create an API endpoint. So router dot get method, and if it is any home route is coming inside, then comma request, we're going to get the request and we're going to get the response, create the, and we're going to return this as response.send. I'm going to say inside the user router, save the changes, and we save the changes as well here, and we are not getting any error. It's loaded the environment variable as well. Fine, that's good. Let's go back here. Now if I refresh this, we will get the hello world. That's fine. But after this app, if I change this to API slash users, if I press enter, that will give inside the user route. So now we are inside the API user route. Fine. So it's successfully working fine. So instead of using this 127.0.10.1, we can use it as localhost colon enter. That will also work perfectly as it's supposed to be. So this is our route link. So let's get back to here. Let me close this and let me go to the user route. And here I'm going to create a separate route for validating our JWT token, which we are collecting from here. This is the token. So now what we need to do over here, I'm going to say router dot get slash JWT verification or something, verification. If we are going there, and this is going to be an asynchronous, it should wait until it gets done. So request comma response is equals an arrow function, and we're gonna pass that token through the authorization header authorization. Okay, so to work with this API much better, we need to download a software called Postman, because every time I can't use this. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get that Postman application. So Postman, if you search for Postman download, please download this. It's an API platform which helps you to work with your API much better. So let me go back here and let me open my Postman, because I do already have a Postman installed successfully. So you guys please go ahead and download that and install it in your machine, and let me bring it in this side, and then I'll keep it the right corner, and let me keep this in the left corner. Fine. Now we can work together, and I'm gonna create a new API request, and I'm gonna paste that URL which we copied from the localhost 501 full stack app, the user central API slash user, and we're gonna use this verification. Copy this and paste it over here. For the time being, we are going to send response.send as JWT verification. Save the changes. If everything is working fine, this is going to be the get, and here also we have the get, and if you click send, you should get that response over here as JWT verification. So this is how you need to validate your API. So now we have our API. This API is working fine. So let me delete this. And here, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the if request. From the request, inside the headers, if I have that authorization, then what I'm going to do, if I don't have that authorization, I'm going to return the response status as 500. 500 means that's an internal server error. So, and I'm going to send a message as an object. Message is equals like we're going to say we can say as token not found, something like that. Token not found. Fine. Now if I check this, you will get the message as token not found, because the reason we haven't sent any header authorizations. That's the reason. So if I have that token, if I have that authorization token, so what we have to do is to here to send the authorization. So we need to go to the headers, and inside the headers, I'm going to use the authorization. We're going to use the authorization, and I'm going to pass that token. So let's go ahead and sign in one more time, and let's get the valid token right now. Let's sign in. And here we go. Copy this token, copy it, and we're going to send the token like bearer token. So I'm just going to say bearer, not this one, not here, over here. Let me delete this. B capital, bearer space our token. This is how we are sending the token. We are okay. So now let's send this. Okay, you will not get anything because we are not returning anything. That's why it's taking sending request and anything. See. Okay, so now what we need to do is, if we have that request, so const dot token, we need to extract that token. Okay, so I am sending the token like bearer space token. So I need to split it by using this space, and I need to get the first array element, because that's our real token, right? So from the request dot headers, dot authorization, in this object, I'm going to split this using split method. I'm going to split. How we are going to split? We're going to split this bearer, and we're going to split this token separately, and I need the index number 1, because once you run this, you will get an array, and in that array, the 0th index will be your bearer and the first index will be your token. I need the first index. So once you got that first index, I'm going to say request return response.send 200. We got the token back over here, 200, and we just going to send that token. We're not going to send, but for the validation, I'm just going to make sure whether it is working fine or not. Now if I click send, there we go. We have our token object, it's splitted, and we got our token object. Okay, so now what we need to do, we don't need to send it, we need to validate it. So I'm gonna decode that token. Try to decode that token. What we need the admin privileges. So let's create the admin const. Admin is equals require, and I'm gonna say Firebase admin. Okay, then over here I'm going to get await admin dot auth. Using auth object, I'm going to verify this ID token, verify the ID token, and send that token over here. Okay, token. So once it is verified, that is going to return a promise. So that is going to be your decoded value. Okay, save the changes. And then, so since it is a try, of course, we need to have a catch object. So I'm going to say error if there is any error. Okay, I'm gonna return the error just like this way. Return response.send, and I'm going to send a message like success as an object is going to be false because it is failed. That's why it's false. And the message is going to be dynamic string literals. That's a backtick error in basically it's going to extract error in extracting the token. So then I need to append that information, append that error over here. That is going to be error, error. Okay, this is the issue. So in case if it is failed to decode the token, this is going to send this message, error in extracting the token, and what is that exact error. All right. Otherwise, over here, now what I'm going to do, like if there is a token, if the token is verified, if it's going to have the decode value. If not decode value, if not a decode value, then I need to send the response. So I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to send it over here as a JSON data, JSON, and I'm going to send this as success fail object over here. And I'm going to say another message as unauthorized access. Unauthorized, authorized access. Say the change. So if there is no decoded value, then this will be returned. In case if there is a decoded value, then we need to return response.status as 200, then .json. Let's say success is going to be true, and of course we're going to send the data outside. That is going to be your decoded value. So basically, to understand much better, we are sending the tokens through authorization, and we are splitting it so that we can extract the bearer and our token separately. The first index is going to be our token. Then using try and catch, we're going to validate. While doing this, if there is any error, we're going to catch that, and we're going to say error in extracting the token. If there is no mistakes, this will validate the token. If there is no token is there, if the token is not valid, then it doesn't have any value. So I'm just going to say if not decoded value, I'm going to send the message as success as false and the message as unauthorized access, because the token is invalid. If the token is valid only, this is going to be returned, because if the token is not valid, this will return. So this function will be exited. So it's not going to execute this one more time. That's the reason I keep it with I return without any condition over here. All right. So now this will work perfectly. This is the token. And let's send this one more time, and here we go. The token is validated, and now we have our user information. So this it's need to be passed to the front end, and we need to keep these informations in the React store. So now what we need to do, we need to create a function to access this API, and we need to pass a token to validate that token, and we need to get that information in the front end. That's what we're gonna do next.